We're here with Head of Tax and Finance Solutions for NRD Companies, Michailas Traubas. Pleased to meet you today, sir. Let's talk about access to digital services. It's one thing to have the service, it's another thing to allow access for citizens. What's happening in this space?
Well, many countries have invested and are still investing a lot into building new digital services, modernizing existing ones. But the challenge they are facing is that people are not using them as expected, and the major reason is still digital divide. People, especially in rural areas, don't have devices, don't have internet access, don't know how to use that. And this is really a big challenge for many countries, especially outside of Europe.
I can imagine. So I was thinking to myself that while the digital service might be very similar between countries, the way we access that, because of cultural regions, might vary greatly between, say, here in Estonia, in Baltics, or somewhere in Africa.
Yeah, even the cultural reasons might be different, but it's also very practical things. If you never use the service, if you're not used to that, you need someone who can advise you, or you need some location where you can find decent internet connection that will allow you to do what you're supposed to do.
That's interesting. How to provide access to digital services when we don't have such a digitally advanced activities in society. What are some of those things that you were touching on?
We believe that agency-based access to digital services is one of the ways to go.
Okay.
And when we are looking into agency-based, it's frequently post offices, libraries, the public organizations which have internet access as a mandatory function for them, and that can really help to reach out to the public, especially as post offices are located everywhere through the country, in large cities and in rural areas.
Okay, so we're talking about setting up centers, setting up points where citizens can come use these services, and those services already exist in the city, like a post office, and you have to build those up.
Yes and no. Because some countries have experience setting up service centers using Postal Network, but what we see is frequently, that works in large post offices in large areas. What we are talking about is if you have single postman or single librarian in some village, but he has knowledge how to use internet, he can be trained to deliver those services. So we are looking into micro level as well, organizing that on a lower level so that people really don't need to travel even 50 kilometers to reach the services.
Right, I can imagine having those services as local as possible is key to this. It's no good, as you say, if I got to travel 20 kilometers to use my government services, I'm not going to be using them.
Because if I need to travel 20 kilometers, it has costs. So maybe I will be more familiar with spending that money on paying for some extra for the agent who can deliver services just in front of me without having to travel, without having to wait in a queue.
Fascinating. Michailas, all right, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.